And I guarantee you, when you really look at that, you're going to say, holy cow, how did I let this go? How did I just let it float far away? And it'll bring some light to you, and it'll make you feel light.
Finally, get back to a life with exercise. And this is your first step. We're going to start getting you moving. I'm Lynn Lindberg, your bad couch guru.
Welcome to the Couch to Active podcast, where I believe that exercise should not be dreadful, but getting off the couch is the hardest thing we do. And today, ladies and gentlemen, this is so excited. You made it. You're here. You're here for what? You're here for the next episode where we are going through the entire Couch to Active book in order. So if you are new to this and this is the first podcast you're hearing, you'll actually want to go back one episode, and you can find that at couch2active.com/33. That's the number 33. And for the first time, I am taking you through the entire book in order. And I'm not going through all the nitty-gritty details. This is not an audio recording version of the book, but instead, I'm giving you an inside scoop and a little bit of background information about my thinking of the book and an overall highlight of what's happening in each section of this book. And at the end of each one of these 9 episodes, this is the second of the 9 episodes, at the very end, I'm going to do 2 things for you. I'm going to give you one thing that I think is the most important or would have the most impact on your life if you did that one thing. Now, I got to tell you, I'm regretting this. I thought I'll take each week and I'll say, if you do this one thing is the most important. I'm hating it. It's too hard. I'm way too biased. I want you to do it all. I want you to read it and soak it in and carry this book around as if it is your Bible this summer. But alas, at the end, you will get from me this week also the one thing that I want you to do. If you have not done last week's one thing, you know who you are. Go back and get that one done too. The second thing is I will also share the one thing that I hope for you, because asking you to do an action item and what I hope for you are 2 different things. So that'll be at the end of the podcast. Now, today we are walking through the first week of the book. So this book is divided into not chapters, but weeks. Then you can chug right along and actually get that change in your life. Actually get yourself to an active lifestyle that we are all looking for. So before I dive right in, I've got to tell you, I am actually recording this episode from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I am attending the Oshkosh AirVenture Air Show this week, and I brought my recording equipment with me and found a nice quiet room with good acoustics. And here I am in my rental house looking around and recording. So it's kind of fun. Just want to give you a little context of where I am this moment. But I am recording these week by week because there's something about a podcast and it being current day and real that I just really enjoy. So we did get into this air show here. We flew and then we drove, but there's a whole ton, as in 5,000 to 10,000 airplanes, little personal airplanes that are trying to fly into this air show. And yesterday it thundered and lightning and just monsooned like I have never seen before in Seattle. And the field where all these airplanes camp out at and where a lot of people tent and RV camp out at got so flooded that people can't even get onto them. So it's been interesting to see the airport trying to figure out what to do with all these little planes that want to land that can't land, and all these campers who are there with their RVs, with their campers, and have no place to go. So they're figuring that out. I'm really glad I'm not in charge of that department of the air show. I feel like I have it pretty lucky here. So yes, my exercise this week is obviously going to be a whole ton of walking. So I've got some good walking shoes and I will be walking all around the air show all week long. So that cardio piece is going to be really easy for me to get in. It won't even feel like exercise, which is the way I like it. I'll just be living my life. For my weight bearing exercise this week, what I've done is I knew I needed to be a little more focused on it. And so I've planned out 2 days this week where I will take about 40 minutes doing body weight exercises at the house. I brought a TheraBand, one of those stretchy plastic rubber band thingies. That's called a TheraBand. That'll help me get in a little more resistance weight training. And then I'll use my body weight to get my load bearing exercise in this week. So that actually will take me a little bit of grit this week because I'll be so focused on so many other things. But it's also nice to know that my walking, I'll blow through my goals of how many miles I want to walk easily. In fact, even if I didn't want to, I would blow through those goals. So that's a really great place for me to be. I love that. So having that little bit of grit needed for getting those weight-bearing exercises in makes it not so bad, makes it completely doable. And that is what I'm doing for exercise this week. If you are new along with us and you did listen to last week, you know that you haven't really started coming up with real exercise plans yet, and that's perfectly fine. Your assignment last week was to look at simply what can you do that's just a little bit more than you did the week before. What I'd like to ask you now is what plans do you have for exercise this week that are just a little bit more than the week before? What is that for you? Okay, and if it would be helpful, what I'd like you to also do is get out a piece of paper and write down your plans. No, don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. It's okay. You can pause me. I'll wait here very patiently. In fact, if you write your plans down and come back tomorrow, I'll still be here waiting for you to come back. All right. Got your plans written down? Let's jump right then into week 1 is pages 2 through 49 of the Couch to Active book. And if you're new listening to this, just Google couchtoactive.com and it'll come up. You'll see exactly what we're talking about and what the book is. I am the author of the book. It's won a bunch of awards, but we've already gone over that. So let's get back to you. Week 2 is titled The Basics. This whole section of the book almost didn't make it into the book at all. And when I look at the book now, I look at it and I think, oh my gosh, how in the world did I almost not put this section in entirely? What this section is it goes through all the high-level basics that we think we already know, but we forget. Or high-level basics that we know, but we actually don't practice it in our life. We just take it and put it in the should category. I really should do that. I really should do this. And so what I want you to do is, as I go through the highlights of this and give you a little bit of my thinking of the background of it, is I want you to really consciously think about pulling it out of the word should, because we don't want to should all over ourselves, do we? And putting it into the realm of, yes, this is how I'm going to live my life. I believe this is true. I know this is true. Now I'm going to start living it with what? Compassion and self-kindness. That's right. Okay, this is highlights just to give you a general sense. And what I'm not going to do is anything that sounds condescending. I want to pull you out of the should, out of the I'm so bad, out of the I'm so fat, out of shape and ugly, out of the I hate this, out of these I failed again. And I want to pull you into a whole new space of I know how, and here's how. That's going to come more in future weeks because each week we're going to dive deeper and deeper. This is the high-level basics that I want every single person to know very, very well. So as I got writing, one of the things that really struck me was how our sense of normal for exercise is really messed up. And a lot of times, depending on your social circle, it's really easy to look around and see nobody really exercising or hardly exercising. And if that's you, diving into this is going to be even more important because you are going to be going against the grain of what's normal for you and your friends and your family and your social circle and your colleagues and folks that you work with. So you're going to have to really dive in and challenge what is normal around exercise. And when you start exercising, you're going to very possibly feel like an outlier or a freak or a weirdo. And let me assure you, you are not the weirdo. You are not the freak. You are not holier than thou for doing these exercises. It really just comes down to the fact that nobody else around you is exercising. And that's going to make your job even tougher. So you got to own it right now that your job is going to be tougher in that social sense. Now, if you're a person who has lots of people around you exercising and you have people wanting to do activities with you that are active, consider that a really great blessing and really thank your friends for that and just dive right in because that is going to work to your advantage. Even if those folks you find quite annoying today, you won't find as annoying by the time we get through this whole program. Trust me, my dear. And my whole philosophy here is I have one passage that was very, very impactful to me that really, when it came to exercise motivation, really helped me a lot. And it's a mantra that I tell myself over and over again. And so I am asking you, ladies and gentlemen, to memorize this with me. Are you ready? It's a little bit trite. It's a little silly, but man, oh man, it is spot on. Here it is. Memorize this with me. My body needs exercise. My body will always need exercise. This will never change. It's not negotiable. It's science. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. My body needs exercise. My body will always need exercise. This will never change. It's not negotiable. It's science. And someday when you see me, I want you to walk right up to me and quote that for me because our generation, has been told over and over and over again that we need to rise above. We need to be superhuman. We need to be superpowered. We need to have more grit than everybody else. We need to push hard and we need to biohack our bodies and we need to be better than everyone and everything else. And let me tell you, all of that stuff, as I might like to call it, that's meant to motivate you, I think in many ways it demotivates us because we forget we are human beings. We are a body that needs exercise, and there's no two ways around it. We just need it. So that's one of the other basics. The other two is call your doctor and stay injury free. You know what those mean. You know what they are. And so that's what you need to do. Stay right on top of doctor's appointments or catch up on all those appointments you've been putting off. Yeah, I know. I got you. And as far as injury free, sometimes we get scared of that because we think we're going to have to go too slow and we're going to have to start too slow and we're going to feel like it doesn't do anything for us. But let me assure you that injury free is the fastest path to success. That's right. And it completely makes sense. If you can do this as injury-free as possible, then you're not injuring yourself. I know. We know this already. And then if you stay injury-free, you can continue to exercise and see progress. We know this. But why do we push so hard that we get injured and then we have setbacks again because of the injury that was caused simply because we pushed too hard? See where I'm going with this? It goes back to that nasty programming from go hard, go home, or push harder, no pain, no gain. Take all that and you push it out of your brain, erase it out of your mind, and know that is not the path that's going to get you where you need to go. And it's never, ever an issue to take it a little too easy one day, see how your body does, and then push just a little bit more the next day, see how your body does. That will get you progress way more quickly than just throwing on some tennis shoes and pushing yourself till you feel like you've died. And then you've got shin splints and plantar fasciitis and your meniscus is bothering you. And then you got to get, ankle surgery. And then a year later, you're stuck trying again. Yes. And if I'm talking about you, please, please know I have so much compassion for you because I could go on and on about this forever. I think I need to make a whole podcast on this topic because our programming is to push and push and push, and we need to let go of that. We need to know that that is flawed logic and it's not true and it's not the best way for you to progress, especially if you're middle-aged, which if you're in your 40s, hello, you are middle-aged, just like me. And in staying injury-free, a picture that I love in my mind is that old tortoise and hare story, right? See, this is all stuff you already know, but we forget it, don't we? I want you to be the turtle. I want you to be the turtle that's slow and steady and gets to the end and finishes and wins. And I want you to be proud of that. In fact, I've been thinking someday I need to get a turtle necklace or maybe a turtle tattoo. I don't know. I don't have any tattoos yet. They scare me. It's a commitment thing. I'm not scared of tattoos. I'm just scared of them on me because I don't trust myself for picking something out that I'll like the rest of my life. But anyhow, be a turtle, own it, love it, and know that slow and steady is the way to get you there. Now, slow and steady is great and all, y'all, but if you flat out forget to exercise in the first place, well, that's not going to help you either, is it? I know this used to be me all the time. We don't exercise half the time, not because we don't want to or not because we don't want it to be a priority. We don't exercise because life just gets really busy and we wake up and we think, oh, we'll do it at, this certain time of the day. And then that time of the day comes along and something urgent comes up that you have to deal with right away. And I used to forget to exercise all the time. And it wasn't ever that I didn't want to exercise, or it wasn't like it was a Freudian subconsciously slipping out of my mind because subconsciously I really didn't want to exercise. It was nothing like that. It was just life was so crazy busy. I mean, I would get up and I'd have great plans to exercise, and then I would get a call from the daycare. Your son is sick. You need to pick him up. And so I'd have to leave work and pick up my son and care for my sick son, and then try to, nowadays, half of us have jobs where when you have a sick kid at home, work expects you to still work even with a sick kid. Woo-wee, oh man. And so then, you're dealing with that. And maybe I could have still exercised, but my routine got so thrown for that day or that few days that I forgot. I just flat out forgot. And I'd lay down and go to sleep. And as my mind is drifting away, my brain would go, "Oh, Lynn, you forgot to exercise." Like you just flat out completely forgot. How could you forget to exercise? If you don't ever exercise, you're going to get out of shape. You're going to die young. You're going to be like your dad who died young. I mean, the self-talk and the negative talk is incredible. So I knew I had to rely on more than just my brain and my routine to remember to exercise because my brain and my routine alone weren't cutting it. So I needed something a little more solid than that. So one thing that I did was I got sticky notes and I had them in a place on my desk, and I said, okay, here's the exercise I'm going to do. Here's when, and I would put the sticky note somewhere in my face so I would not forget. So even if my routine got screwed up for the day, there was a chance I would see that sticky note and still be able to get some kind of exercise in, even if it wasn't the plan that I had. I have probably 50 different kinds of things like that I do all the time to help me remember. And you can start thinking of what works for you for remembering, but just know that life happens. I mean, the idea that we're going to have the perfect exercise routine and tra-la-la, it's all going to be roses and rainbows, and I'll be in the most perfect shape because I have willpower and grit galore. Trust me, people, that doesn't really exist. You've got to have something else going on to help you just remember to exercise. Or maybe it does exist, but that's like after you're retired and you have all day to remember to exercise. At least that's what I hope it is for me someday. Wouldn't that be great? Get up in the morning, have coffee for a couple hours, go to a fitness class mid-morning for a couple hours, have lunch with my friends. I don't know. I like to work too hard. I don't think that'll ever happen. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see 20 years from now, 30 years from now where I am. Alrighty. Those are basics that we already know. Another one that I had to take a really, really sincere look at was my social media and my media feeds. And this doesn't have anything to do with exercise, yet it kind of does have everything to do with exercise. Because about 10 years ago when social media popped up, I was just like you. I was amazed. I was floored. I was reconnecting with friends from high school. I was connecting with old work friends. I was comparing my life to them. I was looking at how happy they were and how things seemed to be going so well for them. I was looking at how beautiful they were and how in shape some of them seemed to be and how so many of them had just these perfect lives. And it was hard. And then I would see people posting about their workouts and their exercise and I would think, well, they're just bragging. Oh, how narcissistic of you. I know I'm a closet cynic. I like to pretend I'm all Pollyanna, but deep down inside, I'm a little bit of a closet cynic. And I would go through my social media feed, and at the end, I found myself stressed out, jealous, frustrated, angry. I can't even tell you exactly why or where that was coming from. I think I can some. I think some of it came from my own dissatisfaction with my life at the time and all the struggles that I was having at that time, where I felt like I didn't even know what to share or post because I couldn't really share what was really going on in my life because, who wants to know about being completely stressed out, overwhelmed, sleep deprived, going through a divorce, lose your job, get another job, and have 7 funerals in your family? Like everyone would unfriend me. At least I was afraid they would. So I took some time to go through my social media feed and really weed it out, feed it out. And I'm not a big fan of censorship. I'm not a big fan of making your social media feed so distilled down that you end up thinking that your way of thinking is the same as, I think we make the mistake sometimes of whittling down our social media feed and unfriending and blocking so many people that we end up thinking that the whole world is in agreement with us and that our way of thinking is the best way of thinking because everybody that I'm friends with thinks the same way I do. So I'm not a fan of that, and I'm not really a proponent of that, but I am saying that on social media, you really can empower yourself to help make sure that what you do see psychologically and at a heart level is good for you and is helpful for you. And if you are on social media, if you're not, totally fine. If you are, here's a trick that'll help your exercise success. Go through your feed, and every time you see somebody post something about exercise, give them a thumbs up or a high five or cheer them on or make a comment, and do that as much as you can. And then join a few groups. Like there's one called Fit Fatties, which is amazing, supportive group. There's a bunch of exercise groups out there. Find the ones that are really, really supportive, join them, and then you will get pegged by Facebook as somebody who likes body positivity, health and fitness and wellness. And once you get pegged that way, your Facebook feed will be amazing because all of a sudden then it turns into not the sweaty, ripped 6-pack abs, but it turns into body positivity, supporting each other where they're at. And it just feels so much better. And since the topic of social media is such a big one for so many of us, it's just changed our culture in such a radically big way, I had to address it in the context of exercise. And the reason it's in week 1 of the book, honestly, I didn't know where else to put it. maybe you can look at the book and say, Lynn, it actually would have been better in week 7, or I don't know. But so that's why that one's there. But it is a really serious topic. All right, so here's our recap really quick. Are you ready? I want you to challenge what is normal for you. And when you go out and look at everybody around you and how much they do or don't exercise, don't use that as your litmus test for how much you should exercise. You figure out how much you should exercise for you, and don't let anybody else around you tell you or imply what is good for you. That's number 1. Number 2, you are a human, and I want you to memorize that quote. My body needs exercise. My body will always need exercise. This will never change. Darn it. It's not negotiable. Darn it. It's science. Okay. Call your doctor. Catch up on those appointments. Stay injury-free. Even if you need to go as slow as a turtle, own it. Be a turtle. Remember to exercise. Figure out how the heck to remember to exercise in the first place. And then look at your social media feed and get it out there in a way that can support you better. Yes. So that is really kind of the background of this first week. Now, I got to give you a fair warning. Next week, we start diving deeper, and the week after, we dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And I am not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. You are going to feel like you're really doing intense life transformation work. If you do what I recommend, this is going to rock your boat, and this is going to get you more jazzed than you have ever been about this topic in your life. It's exciting, so get ready for that. But it is time now, at the end of this podcast, for me to tell you what the one thing I want you to do is. And I'd kind of like you to guess. Some of you already know I'm a really good listener, and I'm not as good of a talker as I am a listener. So I'm going to listen to you for a moment and ask you this question. What do you think the one thing is of this that I'm going to tell you? What is that? Doot, 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 doot. Ding, ding. Okay, let's see if whether you're right or wrong. Probably the one thing you thought of is what you really need to do. But here's the one thing I want you to do. The one thing from this whole week that I want you to do is memorize the mantra. My body needs exercise. My body will always need exercise. This will never change. Darn it. It's not negotiable. It's science. Yay! Okay, that's it. If you do nothing else, memorize that, memorize it, say it over and over. Get it into your subconscious so your brain can know that exercise is not a luxury. It's something we just need to do. And the other one I promised is the one thing that I wish for you. What I wish for you is that you will take all these very, very basic topics that we covered, wrap your arms around them, bring them in close to you, really look at them in yourself and say, I know these things, but do I actually believe it for me? I know this is the one thing science, religion, politics, global countries, it's the one thing we all agreed to. So can I accept and believe the one thing that we all agree, and that is that we need to exercise? And I guarantee you, when you really look at that, you're going to say, holy cow, how did I let this go? How did I just let it float far away? And it'll bring some light to you, and it'll make you feel light. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Week 1 of the Couch to Active book. Next week, we're going to go through week 2, which is titled Reach Out. And that's all of the lessons about reaching out to your community, your circle, your family, your friends. And I give you a whole bunch of very specific and tactical things you can do. Probably some things you haven't thought of before. Alrighty, let's memorize that passage. And I'll see you, same time, same place, next week on the Couch to Active podcast. Thank you for listening to the Couch to Active podcast, where I believe that exercise should not be dreadful, but getting off the couch is the hardest thing we do. Today's episode can be found on couch2active.com/34. That's couchtoactive.com/34. Bye-bye now.